I have pieces here that represent my life. As Jonathan said, I started out in New York. I was a New Yorker.
Woohoo!
Well, thank you. And where do you think I went to school?
NYU.
New York, that's right. Close enough. And after I got a master's in psychology and I became a psychologist, and where do you think I went to practice? My job
The island.
was in Iowa.
That's
That's next to Idaho and Ohio. But the good news is when I went all the way out to Iowa, it was the largest town in northwest Iowa. We had 6,500 people, and every 5 miles there was another town. And I got to do magic in all these different towns. I mean, there's annual soybean days. There's the Pork Producers Festival. There's the Pork Queen. I mean, I was able to do magic. One of my pieces of life in a lot of these places. In Iowa, however, it's a little bit cold. And this is my life experiences. And my well-being was such that I couldn't do much except play racquetball because they had one racquetball court. However, I started a family out in Iowa. I brought my sweetheart from the East Coast out to Iowa, and I had my first child there. And here are my values. And my values for Iowa were really good in the sense that they believed in community and family, and I was just starting a family. So as you could see, my pieces started to fit together really well. Not only did the pieces fit together, they fit into the frame of my life.
nice.
Or so I thought. Because as I was growing my family, I found something else I needed. I needed more money. I needed to have a career that I could grow with. And in a small town in Iowa, it was very difficult and hard for my kids to play soccer. So my life didn't have room for another piece. But there was a lot of dissension, a lot of problems. So I had to figure out a way of getting this to happen. So what I did was I took some courses in business. I didn't know much about business. I started to learn about business. And what I did was, for my personal lifestyle, I moved to California. And that was good. Land of perpetual sun. For magic, I joined a community called the Magic Garage. And I had people like you all here to watch me do things on my purpose. Because my purpose was to create memorable moments for people. In order for people to see in memorable moments both in my work, as a father, and also on my belief system. And I was able to put together a purpose. And again, the pieces seemed to fit together. And it fit into my frame of life. And purpose, as you all know, is very important. And what was your purpose?
To be a psychic professionally.
A psychic professionally. So you have a purpose, you have a drive.
Yes.
And you come to places like this to learn a little bit more and to practice, right? So you have an overall purpose. I had a purpose too, in order to create memorable moments. And it all fit in my life. Or so I thought. Because in my green piece of well-being, I was going around and having some pain in my shoulder, went to a doctor, and I found out I had cancer. I had B-cell lymphoma. And I had to go through radiation. I had to go through chemotherapy first, lost my hair. You might have seen me out here though with a hat. After the chemo, I had radiation. My last radiation treatment, I tried to stay in somewhat shape, so I was playing racquetball with the gentleman that was 20 years younger than me. But I beat him. Thank you, thank you. And we went up for a high five. That's all I remember because I collapsed. And I had a cardiac arrest, a sudden cardiac arrest. Not good. However, I was in 24-hour fitness. And people there knew what happened. They had a defibrillator. And a 60-year-old swimming instructor came and gave me artificial resuscitation and kept me alive until the ambulance took me away. And when that happened, a lot of things had to change, didn't they? my life wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I was in a hospital for many, many months, learning how to walk again and things like that. And I had a gap in my life. And a year after my cardiac arrest, I ended up with a triple bypass, a new aortic valve, and I decided if anybody has to be grateful, it would be me, because I'm alive and I can do things. So I threw something called a Reunite program. And a Reunite program is when I got people together that saved my life. So I got the ambulance drivers, the surgeons, all the people together in my house, and I wanted to express gratitude. Because if anybody's going to be gratitude, it's someone that had cardiac arrest, 5% of the people survived. But as I got them together and telling them thank you, they went around the room and they told me a lot of things. And they told each other a lot of things. Like, you know those ambulances that take you out to the hospital? They don't know what happens to those patients because they're HIPAA. And because they're HIPAA, they don't let them know if they survive or not. And here I was, an example of someone that actually survived. And that gave them a purpose in life because they could see that, hey, it actually works. Because I was described in that meeting as a kind of a purple grape. That's what they described me when they took me to the hospital. So instead of dwelling on the problem, instead of having depression, I decided to have gratitude. And if you do the research on gratitude, and you can ask John here, gratitude is something that actually makes you live longer. And it makes you feel better. It gives you much better mental health. And not only that, the pieces all fit together for me. And also, in my frame of life, everything seemed to fit. Thank you. And the key part here is if you feel you don't have room for one piece of life because you're too busy, too tired, too something, my suggestion is think again. Thank you.
Awesome.